Again, welcome. Thank you for attending. This presentation to the Benning Road Cooperative is meant to help you improve the quality of life there at the cooperative. The presentation is being given by 360 Cooperative Advisors, which consists of myself and my business partner, Mr. Dallas Evans, and Silver Street Development Corporation, of which we have the principal, Mr. Roger Gendron, here to join us. Silver Street Development Corporation is our development partner. Next slide, please, Ted. The agenda for this evening is we're going to talk about the purpose of the meeting, after which we will tell you a little bit about ourselves, 360 Cooperative Advisors and Silver Street Development Corporation. After that, we'll talk about the background of subsidized cooperatives, of which Benning Road Cooperative is one. We'll talk about, from our experience, the challenges that cooperatives face that we have learned from 12 years of working with cooperatives. After that, we'll talk about the options to address some of those challenges. Subsequent to that, we'll have a question and answer period, and then we will discuss next steps. Next slide, please. Purpose of the meeting. As you will find out as we go through this presentation, 360 Cooperative Advisors and Silver Street Development Corporation are dedicated and committed to the preservation of affordable housing. This is more important now than at any time previously because of the rising rents in DC, the rising prices of home ownership, and the dwindling supply of affordable housing, quality affordable housing. Our experience, as I indicated, has dictated that there are some challenges relative to the cooperatives having been built in the late 70s are starting to face some deterioration. We also realize that a lot of the infrastructure is failing and there aren't any funds for upgrades. Cooperatives also deal with very, very tight budgets, so it becomes very, very difficult to address these problems. So what we want to do is provide you with some options if in fact this is the case with your cooperative. We're not saying anything that we do here or say here applies to the Benning Road Cooperative, but we found that it applies to most. And if it does apply to your cooperative and you're interested in pursuing it further, we'll take that opportunity at the end of the presentation to let you know how to contact us and have that discussion with us. Now what I'll do is turn it over to my business partner, Dallas Evans, who will tell you a little bit about 360 Cooperative Advisors and one of the projects that we worked on. Subsequent to that, we will turn it over to Roger Gendron, and he'll let you know a little bit about Silver Street Development Corporation and some of the projects that they've worked on. Dallas?
Great, thank you very much, Felix. And again, I want to echo what Felix said, that we're very happy that you chose to join us this evening. We know that you could have been doing many other things, but you saw fit to at least give us an opportunity to educate you on cooperatives, what we have found in our experience. And as Felix indicated, perhaps this doesn't pertain to you, but if it does, there are opportunities for you to participate and, for lack of a better term, to take control of your destiny as it relates to your cooperative. And because you are the owners, the membership that are the owners of the co-op. So just briefly, 360 Cooperative Advisors, we're committed to the preservation of affordable housing. We've developed an expertise in handling specific acute needs of urban communities, and particularly those urban communities which have low income properties that may be challenged, that need a little TLC, we like to say. In assisting the cooperatives that are struggling, what we have found, again, is deteriorating infrastructure. They're oftentimes mounting debt, and we'll talk about some of the reasons for that later in the presentation. And this often creates pressures and pressures on the cooperative, and oftentimes their lack of options to transform their particular situation. So 360 and Silver Street Developers, our mission is to create solutions that benefit the co-op members, both economically and socially. And our work is even more important today, as Felix just indicated, because housing options, affordable housing options, are dwindling across the country, and specifically here in the District of Columbia. Next slide. Just briefly, a little bit about me. I've had the opportunity to live in the District of Columbia since 1976, having bought my first house in the Petworth area. And now I've been privileged to live in the Crestwood area of Washington. Grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, but found once I came to College Park, got my BS degree, went to American University with my MBA. The District of Columbia, I couldn't be anyplace else. I've had opportunity to travel the globe when I was with the Department of State, but there's nowhere else I'd prefer to be other than the District of Columbia. And matter of fact, met my business partner, Felix, in grad school at American University, and we became fast friends, particularly in that accounting course that we both needed a little bit of help in, although I majored in accounting in undergrad. But we became fast friends, and then business partners. And we've never looked back. And what's important, we've never looked over our shoulder. And our mission, we are aligned with our mission as it relates to growing our business. And lastly, I've had the privilege and the opportunity to sit on a number of boards, corporate boards, both for-profit and non-profit. But my labor of love was on the Board of Regents at Morgan State University, having served there for 23 years on the board, and 13 years as chairman of that board. And there was a renaissance that happened on that campus, and so that was a wonderful honor and privilege for me to be able to serve. Next slide. I think that will go to my brother Yeoman.
I guess the first thing I would like to say is that I'm very, very proud of the fact that I am a native Washingtonian. I am a Freedmen's Hospital baby. And for those who have been around the city for quite some time will know what that means. As far as my career, I have spent the initial part of my career in banking and financing. And subsequent to that, I had an opportunity to work for a community development corporation on Georgia Avenue with the goals of improving Georgia Avenue. And that is one of the jobs that I cherish, to have the opportunity to do that. In my banking life, I also worked for what is now, I guess, the only minority-owned bank left in the city, Industrial Bank of Washington. After that, I also served as a chief financial officer for a government contractor. I've worked for an investment firm as a broker. So I've had opportunity to touch on every aspect of finance. I've also had an opportunity to serve on some boards. At present time, I live across the line in Prince George's County. So I've chaired the board of the hospital out here and also the community college, because I believe in giving back. Dallas and I, we talk about the fact that we're in the later stages of our career. And at this point, we are driven by a mission to give back to the community and create some type of legacy, something we believe that we can look back and say we made a contribution. And that is why we have pretty much chosen this path. Now that you got to know a little bit about me, I'm going to turn it back over to Dallas, and he's going to talk about one of the projects that we've worked on previously.
Great. Thank you very much, Felix. Appreciate it. Sursum Quarter. I'm sure that many of you would be familiar with Sursum Quarter, a 199 unit cooperative right in the heart of Washington, D.C., and built in 1968. And you may know that that during its life history, Sursum was faced with many challenges that cooperatives have today, and that is a deteriorating infrastructure, deferred maintenance, many health and safety issues, mounting debt, operating deficits, threatened foreclosure by HUD, and the city had even passed legislation to eminent domain the property. And unfortunately, at the time that Felix and I came to the property or had the opportunity to work with the families there was really no strategy or leadership at the time to address those challenges. And so what the membership did was take control of its own destiny. And the membership elected new leadership to address those problems, and they also changed out the management. Having done that, the board and membership gave us an opportunity to interview with them, given our backgrounds, our experience, and our mission, to interview to see if, in fact, we could to help them turn their situation around, i.e. transform the challenges there at Sursum Quarter. And I have to say that, if you go to the next slide, that was the past, and this is the future. It was a long and arduous endeavor, but you'll see from this slide, and if you just work down, and I won't read all the text in the document here, but you'll see that there was a lot of effort going to help reposition the property. But most importantly, Felix and I, our organization, was a tool to work with the membership, because the membership, along with the board, because they had new board leadership, a board that was transparent in its dealings with the membership, and they decided they wanted to do something different. So they allowed us and gave us the privilege to sit with them, to work with them, to transform Sursum Quarter. And we absolutely did that. It was not easy. We were challenged by the city. We were challenged by some naysayers within the membership itself. It was not a perfect situation, but the majority of the membership had the vision, the tenacity, and the belief that they could control their own destiny. And that's what we Felix and I emphasize when we engage members, is that you can control your own destiny. Allow us to be, the tool to help you to do that. And so evidence of that is what you see here. There is a hole in the ground now. The south phase is coming out of the ground. And what you'll find is that what we were able to do is to get families Section 8 vouchers. We were able to get them a significant economic benefit. They have a guaranteed right to return to the redeveloped property. And we managed with them to address all the challenges that they face in getting to this point. And for example, taking the destiny into their own hands. When we had to go before the Planning and Zoning Commission, when we had to go before the City Council, those families loaded up in a bus and showed up with us. Okay? And what did that sent the message to the leadership in the District of Columbia that these families were serious, about changing their lot, the direction, and they were taking advantage of the opportunities that all the other development around them, because they were the hole in the donut, right? And this would not have happened unless membership saw that they were not being served by their past board leadership nor management. And again, we emphasize taking your destiny in your own hands. What did the board do? The board, they started by making certain everyone had copies of their bylaws, right? There were no personal agendas. The board was transparent. And the result of that is that the attendance at all the board meetings grew and grew and grew. When we first got there, we may have had 15, 20% of the families that would attend the meetings. By the time we finished, 75, 80% standing room only in those meetings and what have you. Because, you know, the families, again, they believed that they could make a difference if given the opportunity. And if the roadblocks were moved out of the way. And I don't know whether the chairman would want me to say his name or not, but I will say it anyway. The chairman of the Sursum Quarter was Lonnie Durant and still is the chair. All right. And he was the trusted agent to make this happen. And unless, in what we've experienced, unless a cooperative has a trusted agent sitting at that board level, you can't do what you see here. This type of transformation doesn't happen. Now, I know you all don't have that issue, but we're just sharing with you and educating you on what our experiences have been. The members, they got the audits. When the audits were done, they got monthly financial statements, because guess what? They're owners of the real estate. The management company is not the owner, and the board is not the owner. And with that, we can go to the next slide.
So we're going to take this time, and Roger is going to tell you a little bit about Silver Street Development Corporation and himself.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think you're humble in your presentation of what you accomplished there. You clearly changed lives, and with the cooperation of the board and all working together, it's something we've never seen. And I've been in this business. My name is Roger Gendron. I'm president of Silver Street Development Corporation, and we have developed over 100 properties, over 10,000 apartments, and I've never seen what these gentlemen accomplish at Sursum Quarter. So I just want to say that. Silver Street is a development company that is, all we do is preservation of affordable housing. When I say preservation, it means acquiring properties, joint venturing, redevelopment of properties, so that we extend the lives of those properties and we enhance those properties and the lives of the tenants. And in your case, it was owners in the properties. So when we come in, we work with the tenants. We look at what are the needs of the property, what are the amenities that they would like to have in the properties. And just to give you a sense of what we've done, in these properties, we renovate the inside of the units, new kitchens, new bathrooms, flooring. We've built daycare centers. We've put in playgrounds. We've changed all the HVAC and equipment to run the properties, completely changed the exterior of the properties. And so this is something that we do, obviously, with programs that provide the incentives from the federal government. If you can go to the next slide, Ted. So just for a quick, this is my bio. I don't need to, you can see it, but I just want to say that when I entered this business in 1993, I didn't realize what a fortunate person I was, because it's very few businesses that you can be in where you can really help people, where you can change communities and you can uplift communities. And so this is something that we have been doing full time since 1993. And like I said, over that time period, we acquired and renovated over 10,000 apartments up and down the East Coast. Next slide, Ted. So I just want to show you an example of a property that we renovated in the last couple of years. This property is in Salem, Massachusetts. This property was literally falling down. The bricks were falling off the building. They had to, put up tape and keep people away from the buildings. The insides were totally dated. And we went in and we spent $31 million and completely renovated the property. All new on the inside, all new on the outside, without a rent increase to the tenants, without displacing one tenant, and we did it all with the tenants in place. So there wasn't a need for tenants to move away and come back. It was because the bones were there. There was something there that we could work with. Next, Ted. So this is just to show you our website. You can see the web address down below. If you would like to see the balance of what we've done and the other properties that we've redeveloped, you can go to that website and see that after the presentation. And now I'll send it back to Dallas and Felix.
Okay. Thank you, Roger. Really appreciate that. Just a little background on the cooperatives. They were, as you can see from the slide, which I won't bother to read it exactly, but you can see they've been around since the 1920s. And the idea was to create opportunities for affordable housing. HUD got into the cooperative business or subsidizing cooperatives in a big way primarily in the 60s and the 70s. And in doing so, the idea was that individuals wouldn't own their individual unit, but they would own a share within the cooperative structure itself. The idea being that one, it gives quote unquote a sense of home ownership, and having that sense of home ownership, folks would perhaps take care of the properties better, make certain that you had enough funds to put aside for replacement reserves so that the property wouldn't grow into obsolescence, etc. But what we have found, what we've seen, and what HUD has seen is that that great idea, but the implementation on the backside didn't quite get where it expected, the results that it really expected and what have you. And so thus, in going to the next slide, there are significant challenges that we have found in that not only have we seen in our career, but also in talking with HUD officials, we have a database of over 300, approximately 300 cooperatives from the HUD database. And that's really how not only Benning Road, but other cooperatives got on our radar, because we go down, we take a look, how does it look? How do you think it's doing? How does it look? What's the curbside appeal? We've been there taking a look. Does it appear to be challenged? And again, I'll say that we're not approaching you because we think you have all these challenges. We're not pointing the finger. But what we want to say, as we've said to other cooperatives, is that these are challenges that we've seen. And if you are experiencing these challenges, there are solutions. And we can bring those solutions just as we did with Searson Porter and working with the ownership there. So again, I won't, you can see what some of those challenges are, like the lack of funding, the members not really knowing their rights. And I keep coming back to this. And I will say that I've chatted with several members of your cooperative before even approaching you and asked specifically, do you have bylaws? Have you been issued your bylaws? Do you know your rights? And consistently, it's been no. The other challenge, if you will, and again, I'm sure you may not have this issue, but we found that many boards do, or many co-ops do, is the board leadership. I just shared with you a moment ago what we experienced when we went to engage with a certain court, or they engaged us. The prior board, not the current board. There was an issue of transparency. There was vacuum in leadership. The members didn't know what the hell was going on. And so here again, when that happens, the property falls into disrepair, and you see the challenges, as we listed them here for you. One of the things that, now we'll go on to the next one, is that with poor management and poor leadership, these are some of the issues that cooperatives face. And you, and again, members who are the owners should not have to address this. Again, controlling your own destiny. And I'll say that we found it very disappointing, extremely disappointing, that when we first approached the co-op back in August of 2020 and wanted to share this with the board and with membership, a letter was sent around, which we included in your packages for this session, that to throw it away, to disregard it, if you will. And again, with some of the membership that we had an opportunity to chat with, they were disappointed that leadership did that. And quite frankly, and wanting to come present to you today. Word came back is that members are told to disregard. Okay? Disregard what we're trying to say. We're trying to steal your property. And that's the furthest thing from the truth and nonsense. And so I am very proud for you all that are here tonight to be able to hear facts, get educated, right? So that you hear firsthand, and you as the owner have the right to make a difference. And it's not easy. The membership has to coalesce, okay? And you have to have transparent leadership to change the circumstance. Again, I'm not suggesting that you guys have these challenges, but I am suggesting that you can control your own destiny, if you will. Next slide.
So I just want to talk about how I met Dallas and Felix, and this slide obviously says the right place at the right time. So when our company purchased properties over the years, all the money went to investors and the old developers. The tenants received nothing. And people discount the tenant's role in all of this. And so we never experienced a co-op. We never purchased a co-op. We never did any business with a co-op, because there was only, in the country, there's probably 250,000 affordable housing properties in the country, maybe exceeding that. Only 300 were initiated under a co-op ownership. And I think the fact of the matter is that HUD and the powers that be never anticipated that there would be value at the end of the day, and that value should go to the owners, and you are the owners. So when I met Dallas and Felix, and they showed me what they were just about to close the transaction on Source and Quarter, and they explained to me what they did, I was blown away, because I said, wow, this is really changing people's lives, because they are receiving the value of what they own. And so when I say the right place at the right time, when Source sold, it was the people that were in the property at that point in time that received the benefits of the sale. And so many tenants had come and gone over the years. And unfortunately for them, nothing had happened during that time period, so they didn't receive all of those benefits. And when I think about how you guys changed the lives of the people, I mean, they never envisioned being able to experience getting the value of their property. It's just an amazing thing. And actually, I think it's the first one in the country. So I give you guys credit for that. And think about it. You all are there in the property. This property's been there for a long time. The co-op was established in 1995. Many people have come and gone. They never experienced receiving the value of what they owned. And so at this point in time, you are there. You are the owners. And I would encourage you to take your power, your ownership, because this is something that people discount. They act as if you don't have a role, and you are the owners of Benning Road Cooperative and the real estate there. So I would say to you, as owners, it's very important for you to get involved and look at what your options are, because the options can be life-changing for you, especially if you can receive the benefits of your ownership, which means the value of your ownership. So now I would pass this on back to Felix and Dallas, so they can talk about what those options are.
Okay. Thank you, Roger.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is talk to you about what options you may have. If any of what Dallas spoke about relative to deterioration of the infrastructure, deferred maintenance not being taken care of, if you think the property has not been upgraded or it needs an upgrade, if any of those things pertain to you, then we wanted to share what we thought your options were. But before I talk about that, I want to mention why we do business with Silver Street Development Corporation. Dallas and I have done business with quite a few developers, some of which we will never do business with again. But when we were approached by Silver Street, and Silver Street discussed what we had accomplished at Sursum Corner, Silver Street said to us, look, why don't we team up? You can make sure that the tenants and the members get everything that's due to them. And we can bring the development expertise, because we've developed properties, we've renovated properties in place all over the country. In all the years that Dallas and I have been in this business, no one has approached us, not one developer approached us telling us or suggesting that we help them by making sure the tenants or the members get everything that is due to them. We were approached by developers before, and it's typically help us get into this property. And it's typically for their benefit. But the way Silver Street does business is that they are invested in the communities and they want to see the communities succeed. In that way, we had the same like mind, and we found that extremely admirable. And that's when we decided to link together with Silver Street. So that's a little bit about how they do business and how they view the community.
And Felix, if I could just I'm sorry, but if I can just piggyback on that, and you could imagine that Felix and I did our due diligence on Silver Street also, and we went to HUD at the very top levels of HUD, and Silver Street is a superstar with HUD. Okay,
Has a sterling reputation.
Okay,
With HUD.
Period.
They gave us a tremendous comfort level.
That's right, both on the development side and the management side. I'm sorry.
That's correct. Yeah, so thank you for that, Dallas.
Yeah.
But getting to your options, you can move forward by not moving forward. You can do nothing. And if you are satisfied with the condition of the property, you're satisfied with where you're living, that I guess is an option. However, that will be difficult to maintain because unless you put money into your property, the property will eventually deteriorate and continue to deteriorate. There'll be no funds to upgrade if you feel that your property or your apartment or how you're living needs to be upgraded, and there will be no monetary benefit to you. If your property is indeed deteriorating and you do think that it needs to be upgraded, another option is to try to borrow money in order to upgrade the property. And as a matter of fact, HUD has some programs available to you to do that, and also has a program for cooperatives to get counseling and get some advice on how to upgrade the property. What we found from our experience is that typically when co-ops borrow to upgrade a property, they don't borrow enough money, or there's not enough money or funds available for them to do a wholesale upgrade. So what you essentially end up doing is putting a bandage on the cut. It doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve all the deferred maintenance. It doesn't resolve all of your capital investment needs. And in addition to all of that, as Roger indicated, relative to financial benefit, there's no financial benefit to the members of the cooperative. And if you move on, you move on without any type of benefit. Next slide, please, Ted. So what we're proposing here is that you consider the third option, option 3, and that is to do either a sale or a joint venture, a sale or a partnership with our team, 360 and Silver Street Development Corporation. And as a consequence of that, what will happen is you'll get fully renovated units, add some amenities to the properties. We can do that without displacing any of the current residents. Any debt that's currently on the property will be paid off. There's a monetary benefit to you as a consequence of either selling your property or partnering with us. And the best thing about this is that it does not affect your Section 8 rental subsidy for those in the property who are getting Section 8 rental subsidy. So we would like you to consider what we're proposing. We would like you an opportunity to discuss it further with you because, of course, the devil is in the details. Ted, could you go to the next slide? Because of that, we're providing our contact information. And if you're not in a position to write it down, you can Google either of our firms, 360 Cooperative Advisers or Silver Street Development Corporation, and look at our website. Our website has our contact information. It talks about our bios, so you can read more about what we've done in our careers. And it also can give you an opportunity to either email us or follow up with us or give us a phone call if you wish to hear more. Could you go to the next slide, Ted? What we would like to do now is have you take a very short poll. It's only about 5 questions. It would help us to know a little bit more about your situation so that we know what we can do in order to either help you now. Keep in mind, as Dallas said, this may or may not pertain to you. You may or may not decide to do business with us, but we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to educate you and educate you on what your options are, also what your rights are, and also to give you some empowerment. We're pretty much about empowering the tenants, empowering the members to make their own decisions.
Okay.
And keep in mind, you're the ones with the vote, you elect your boards, your board hires your management, and you need to understand what your rights are by getting your bylaws, reading through them, and understanding that you have a voice in the future and you have a voice in how you live. The first question we'd like to ask you, and what you will do is you can right there on your screen, make a selection, and also once you make a selection, you'll have an opportunity to submit your answer. So the first question we'd like to ask you is, do you feel like an owner of this property or a renter of this property? Because what we found was in several of the co-ops that we dealt with, the membership didn't really feel like they were members. They didn't feel like they had a voice. They didn't know what was going on at the cooperative relative to its financial status, or it did not understand the bylaws because the bylaws weren't given to them. So they did not have an opportunity to have input in how the cooperative is run, which you should as a cooperative member. So if you can make a selection and press submit, we'll move to the next question. That next question is, do you feel that you're engaged in the decision-making at the Benning Road Cooperative? Your responses can be, yes, I feel my voice is heard. No, I feel like decisions are made for me. And as we continue to emphasize, you should have a voice. You exercise your voice when you elect your board. You exercise your voice when, depending on your bylaws, you ask for certain things to be heard. You ask for certain meetings. When you ask certain questions, and as a consequence of being a member, you are owed an answer to those questions. So if you can make one of your selections there and press submit, we can again move on to the next question. Third question. If you feel like this pertains to your situation and your cooperative needs upgrades, renovations, needs some amenities, we'd like to ask, in your opinion, what portions of the cooperative do you feel are most need of upgrades and renovations? Your new unit may need an upgrade. You think you need better community spaces to meet or different amenities on a property. You think the property needs to be upgraded relative to the landscaping. You can look at that question and make your selection and press submit, and we'll move on to the next question. And I believe we only have 2 more questions to go.
Yes.
It would be very helpful if you could answer all of them to give us an idea of how we can help you if indeed you decide to select us to help you. The next question is, now that you know that you can keep your unit and your subsidy, do you feel that you could benefit from a financial windfall? Answers are yes, it would be life-changing. The other answer is no, it may be cumbersome. Even though I don't understand how it may be cumbersome. So if you can choose one and press submit, we'll go to our final question. Our final question is, would you like to have a follow-up meeting, preferably virtual because of what's going on with the coronavirus these days? Would you like to have a follow-up meeting with 360 and Silver Street Development Corporation within the next month and explore what we have discussed further, if you would like more details? The answer is either yes, I would like to explore this further, or no, I am not interested. If you can make your selection and press submit. And if indeed you would like to explore this further, we encourage you to talk to other members of the co-op and discuss what you've heard here, if you think it would benefit you, if you think it would benefit the co-op. Because only you have the power and authority to let the board know that you would like to hear more. And that is your right. So now what we would like to do is have a question and answer period. If there are any questions about anything that we've said here, please submit them to us in writing.
And while they get their questions together, Felix, would you like to run through the answers to the polls?
Sure. That's not unusual to feel like you're a renter. We've run into that with a lot of cooperatives because sometimes the management, sometimes the board doesn't share enough information with you. It doesn't let you know financially how the cooperative is doing. When it makes decisions, it doesn't take a vote. It pretty much makes a decision at the board level and makes a decision for you rather than having your input. Next question, please. Do you feel you're engaged? No, I feel like decisions are made for me. That is not unusual either. And that is why we wanted to take this opportunity to give you an idea of what your rights are. And they start with your bylaws as to how you're governed. Could you go to the next slide, please, or next question? "25% of you say your unit needs to upgrade. 75% says all of the above. You could use better community space, upgrade the exterior landscaping, and also improve the units. And as I said, we make sure that we do complete renovations when we engage in a property. Next question, which I believe might be our final question. Is that our final question, Ted?
One more after this.
Okay. A financial windfall would be life-changing. It would also be life-changing to me, so that answer is not a surprise. And for our final question, yes, you would like to explore this further. So if you would like to explore this further, as I indicated before, please discuss with other members in the cooperative what you heard here. We were very, very sad and disappointed to hear that a lot of the notification that we sent out to you, that either the board or the management told your cooperative community to disregard it, rather than giving you an opportunity to get this information and make your decision yourself as to whether you want to pursue it or not. As I said, whether you do business with us or not, we would like to let you know what your rights are and what your potential options are in terms of upgrading your property.
Absolutely, absolutely. And question.
Do we have any additional questions, Ted?
Yeah, so I'd like to begin by reading a few comments that came in, not exactly questions, but things you may benefit from hearing. One member mentioned, "I definitely kept my original letter from the management," as Dallas was discussing the contents of that letter. Just interesting to hear.
Okay, thank you.
Another comment, "The only time I feel like an owner is when I've tried to get rental assistance and was told that I didn't qualify because it was a co-op. The co-op was very unhelpful with assisting in this area," which is interesting to hear as well.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Another resident would like to confirm that they will be able to stay in place, or at the very least be able to return to the property.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The Associated has devised a methodology to be able to renovate in place that members do not get displaced. There's only under some unique circumstances where you may have to potentially go to a hotel but that is very, very, very rare. Roger, would you like to talk about how Silver Street goes about renovating
Yeah.
in place?
So what we generally do is, as units become vacant, or if there aren't any vacancies, then we provide other housing. In the case where we have to do extensive work, we may have to have people be in a hotel or some other, or one of the vacant units. We outfit it, we furnish it. There's food provided so that during the day, people can go in and work in the unit. So for instance, we've become so good at this because of so much experience. We can go in the morning, take out a kitchen, replace the kitchen, hook up all the plumbing, all the electrical. You come back to your unit at the end of the day, you have a brand new kitchen in your apartment. So all of this can be done. There will be no displacement, no permanent displacement, and no cost to you. For instance, when we replace the kitchen, we pay people to put everything in a box. So we don't want this to be a problem for the tenants. So the answer is no displacement. Your unit will remain your unit. No one will be asked to leave. It's just not the way we do. We could not have done what we did if we had done it that way. In every one of our properties, the people stayed in the property. And at the end of the day, they had a brand new unit with all the conveniences and additional amenities.
Good question.
A comment on that, Roger. Someone said that's amazing. Great process. Just wanted to share that.
Well, thank you.
Right.
And the last thing I want to say is why I was so impressed with what Dallas and Felix accomplished at Source and Quarter is that they made sure these people understood that the owners in that property understood that they were the owners.
Right.
And they empowered them to make sure that they received the benefit of what they owned. You know, this world is a world where people aren't always looking out for other people's lives and their benefits. And I can tell you from watching what happened at that property, that it was life-changing for the people that were there. And I was really taken away by what happened, because this is something that just never happens in our industry. So I compliment you two on delivering something that has never been done. In my experience, has never been done.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
The next question, some of this may have been addressed, but I just wanted to bring it up again. Can you describe in what other instances, if any, you have been involved with partnering with a co-op in DC? What was the outcome in terms of percentage of tenants who remained residents after the redevelopment?
Well,
Go ahead.
You want to take that, Felix, or?
As present time, we Source Quarter Cooperative is the only cooperative that we've actually partnered with in DC. And we got the members there, as Dallas indicated before, the guaranteed right to return. The new complex is coming out of the ground as we speak. That, as Dallas indicated before, was a very long-term effort to get it done. And also, as he indicated, that the city had actually passed eminent domain. HUD had actually moved to foreclose on the property. There was another developer who got involved, who made promises to the members there to commit a certain amount of funds to them, only to find out in the end that if they wanted to stay at that property, they had to give the funds essentially back to that developer. And our most difficult challenge was getting the city aboard, bringing them along and making them understand that as owners of those properties, of that property, as Dallas so fondly likes to say, a property 6 acres from the Capitol. So you can imagine what type of value that property had. And a property where if you look around, everything else was upzoned. All of the speculators, everyone who came in who put investment in any property around there as speculation. They didn't live there. They just bought up the property, looking for the future, hoping that something would happen. All of those people were being rewarded, and not the residents of that particular cooperative. And because of our success there, that's what gave us the incentive to go out and start this cooperative initiative. When we start looking around and looking at a lot of the other cooperatives who were having extreme difficulty, who were being threatened by HUD, we thought this was the perfect time to take the expertise that we gained and the knowledge that we gained from that particular situation and pass it on to other cooperatives. So, and that's one of the reasons that we got in touch with the Benning Road Cooperative.
And I think there is a distinction, right? Because Sursum was not savable as a property. It needed to be demolished and started over. But all of the tenant owners took their Section 8 vouchers, and they were able to, and you all helped with all of that process to find other homes for them, but with the guaranteed right for them to come back. In this case, the difference is that this property is a property that has great bones. It's something that we can work with. There's no reason to tear it down. It's just modernize it and make it a better place to live.
Right. And just to piggyback on that, Roger, you're absolutely right. And one of the things, again, one of the reasons that we were able to be so successful at Sursum is because they had a board that recognized that the members were the owners, not the board and not the management company. Those the previous boards, and there were numerous at Sursum before the current board, watched the deterioration happen along with the management company, if you will. And again, I'm not suggesting you guys have these challenges, but it was very peculiar again and very disappointing that for some reason folks tried to prevent this from happening, from us having a discussion with the membership tonight. Again, to let you know what your rights are. That is nefarious, and that's a problem. And that's why, going back to what Felix indicated, if there's going to be transformation, not only in your physical environment, but also in your own circumstance, personal circumstance, the members have got to stand up and say that we are owners, period. And you expect transparency and you demand transparency. And I understand, folks are busy, they have their lives to live, they have kids that are trying to learn from home because of this COVID stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But again, it's about empowerment. And oftentimes when folks at the head of the table think that you're not empowered, then they take advantage. And the way you get from under is knowledge and information. And all we're trying to do is share information. And it's nonsense for anyone at that your cooperative to say that we're trying to steal your property. That's total nonsense. And so again, next steps, as Felix indicated, what do you do next? Talk to your members, and we stand ready to meet with you anytime, any place, to be able to assist you in empowering and taking control of your own destiny. Black folks have got to learn to take control of their own destiny. We can't allow other people to do that. Thank you.
And let me also, let me add to that, Dallas. Let me add to that,
Yeah.
that was an excellent question. And as I said, the new property is coming out of the ground. They have a guaranteed right to return, and that Dallas and I are still very much involved
That's right.
in the Citizen Quarter Cooperative.
That's right.
Although, because of the process of zoning and all of that, it's been a couple of years since that initial transaction closed, but we have been involved. We have been monitoring the purchaser to make sure they live up to their commitments. We have, through the chairman of the board, who Dallas so aptly gave praise to because of his leadership, through the chairman, we're still in contact or still monitoring where all of the residents are, how they feel about coming back, what their plans are, informing them where we are relative to the development, so that when it's time for them to come back, they'll have that availability. And quite frankly, we had to fight with the new developer on a couple of issues where they tried to minimize their ability to come back. And certainly the chairman would not allow that. And certainly we were involved in making sure that didn't happen and making sure they have the choice. As you have the choice, they have the choice to come back.
Right.
And as Roger indicated, this is somewhat of a different situation as most co-ops are, because your cooperative is not at the point where there's obsolescence and it just needs to be torn down. That is not the case here. But that was an excellent question. Thank you for asking it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The next question, perhaps Raj could speak to some of the federal programs involved. A member asked, how are you funded?
So we use federal financing and the use of low-income housing tax credits. So, and the reason why the property doesn't get burdened with debt is because the tax credits that the federal government provides, we turn around and sell those tax credits to investors because they're looking for tax losses, right? And they pay for those credits, and those credits are what are used as a funding mechanism to do all the improvements to the property. So it's a combination of HUD financing and the low-income housing tax credit program.
And the other thing is just to add to that, one of the our commitment is to ensure that the members are involved in the process, quote unquote, of the renovations, if you will. That it is an open book situation. You get to look at the materials that are going to be used, et cetera, et cetera. So we do not operate in a vacuum. We engage you because we recognize that you are the owners of the property. So there's no one dictating to anyone else as to what will be done. Again, transparency is the key to empowerment. And please kill the rumors, because our experience, even at Sursum, okay, because you had strong, transparent leadership with Mr. Duran, that didn't stop rumors. Okay, so there are going to be rumors, but you have to weigh it for what it is, and from whom it's coming from. And the idea and the concept is to do no harm. And right now, folks are trying to do harm to the members there, to the owners there.
And keep in mind, the ultimate decision is yours. Whether you do business with us or not, we want you to understand what your rights are.
Right, absolutely.
And lastly, I just wanted to say that this education process and this ability to look at your options doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't obligate you to anything. This is free discovery. And I think what you're going to discover is a wonderful potential outcome for you and your community.
Absolutely.
Personally and community-wide.
That's right. Thank you for that, Raj. And in addition, we know that you received, communication correspondence from us as it relates to what our thoughts were at the time. Those opportunities to discuss that still on the table, but there's nothing in stone. Period.
Anything additional, Ted?
Yes, we have one more question that will actually walk into next steps nicely. So a member asked, what can I do to help move this forward? Is it possible to share this presentation?
That's a good question. We are.
Yes.
I can speak to that a bit if you'd like.
I agree, say, Ted, you're the organizer. You're the technical guy. You're smarter than we are. You take that.
This presentation is being recorded, and we do plan to put up a link to it online that we can share with all the members. And we can email to anyone who is interested as well.
Yeah, and it would be helpful, I think, if somebody could let us know how to contact everybody so that we can make sure everybody knows what we discussed today, and or forward the information to them. And then we can start the process going. And I think the next step is going to be probably, and Dallas and Felix, you could speak to this, is to engage with your board so that we can have a meeting and start the process of educating them and also giving you all of your options.
Correct. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Roger. And again, one of the things that we try to do is to respect the protocol of any organization, and certainly this one too. But if in fact a single member board, the whole board, the manager, whomever, are creating roadblocks, that is something that, quote unquote, is out of our hand, and that again is left up to the members and the ownership to break through that.
Yeah, and we'll help you with that.
And we'll help you.
Yeah.
That's correct. We'll absolutely help you in any way possible. Period. And we're an open book. What you see is what you get. Life is too short not to do otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just one last comment that came up after the last question. A member wrote that some members are scared that they're going to get put out of their unit. And obviously we've spoken to this on the presentation, but helping share that information is going to be really important.
Absolutely, Ted. And let me speak with that. Obviously, Roger and Phil can chime in. One of the things that, as long as you're paying your carrying charges and you're not a nuisance to the property, you're not getting put out. And I'll stand on that. Because number one, the board has a fiduciary responsibility, a legal responsibility to the cooperative and its members. There again, going back to your bylaws, understanding that they have a fiduciary responsibility. So if a member is paying their carrying charges, they're not a nuisance to the property, and because you want to empower yourself and better your life, you're absolutely not going to get put out. You have legal standing. And I have a ton of lawyers lined up that will defend you.
Yeah, I think those kind of rumors are maybe put out there to put fear into people's minds so that they don't press for their rights.
Right.
And when we got the letter back from our first correspondence with you, and the management company was answering the letter like they were the owners. And we were like, what? This is crazy. They're hired managers. They're not the owners.
Right.
The occupants, the tenants here are the owners.
Right.
And even if the board answered it without taking the temperature or the pulse or having input from the membership, in my mind, that's still a problem.
Yeah.
That is still a problem if as you indicated in the polling questions, if you don't feel like you're part of the decisions that are being made into a cooperative, that's still a problem.
I would willing to bet you guys that his families don't even have certificates to show that they have ownership in that co-op.
Ted?
And
I'm sorry.
now, like you said, we can find legal representation for
Yep.
members. They need it.
Absolutely.
Make sure that things happen the way they should happen.
Absolutely.
And hopefully there won't be any need for that. Your board will decide to be
Oh.
transparent, share the information, allow us to share the information, and then allow you through a voting process, per your bylaws, to make whatever decision you'd like to make.
Right.
But in
Absolutely.
the event that it needs to happen, we're available to help.
Correct. Correct. We've been blessed, ladies and gentlemen. We've been blessed, the three gentlemen here. And we just, at this point, we don't have our runway is not as long as it used to be. So we have an opportunity to be blessings to others. And yes, there's benefit to us. I mean, you know, we aren't doing this quote unquote for free, you know, if we're able to do a transaction with you and what have you. But the bottom line is that, again, we have a mission here, and we can create a win-win for you.
Well, that's excellent, gentlemen. I think that. One more comment, but this is just, you know, pertaining to what you've been discussing. A member wrote in that the board allows the management company to make decisions, and probably should not be the case.
No.
But you can
That's
speak
right.
to that.
Never.
Yeah.
That's
All
right.
right. Well, excellent. That seems to be all of the comments and questions, unless anyone would like to send anything in last minute.
And as we indicated, please go to our website where you will find our email addresses and our phone number.
Right.
And certainly feel free to follow up and feel free to contact us.
Absolutely. Okay.
And if there's nothing else, I guess we will say good night and God bless.
Absolutely. And
Absolutely.
please talk to your neighbors, and please share this with your neighbors.
And I'll get that link as soon as possible.
And we look forward to seeing you and talking to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.